friends, welcome to the Ouroboros Express Devlogs. I'm Najma, you can call me Naj. And I'm so happy that you're joining us because I have my lead producer, Rachel Lee, with me. And thank you, very kind of you to join me on these almost manic situations. But yes, to iterate, I am, even though I'm directing the Ouroboros Express, I'm just a tiny, tiny cog in a hugely talented team, and you are absolutely one of those hugely talented members of the team. So thank you, Rachel. Could you introduce yourself,
Thank you.
please?
Thank you. Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Rachel, lead producer of the Ouroboros Express Patch 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce myself. My background is in art teaching. So I've been an art teacher for 7 years for a private art school. And the type of art that I teach is comics and illustration. So my background is in storytelling is mostly what I think about. I'm also a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons. So stories are my favorite thing. And so I've been interested in getting involved in game development for about a year and a half now, like more seriously, and joined Smallland Studios and recently started to learn about what the producer role is, which I actually really, really enjoy. And I thought it was exciting to be a part of making the story without actually having to make the story. Because most of the time when I'm involved in storytelling, it's like I'm writing, if it's in Dungeons and Dragons, I'm like writing the whole story and having to labor over the plot and all the stuff and the dialogue and the characters, and manage the players as well. And when I'm doing a comic, I'm doing the drawing and the writing and all of this stuff. But here I get to be a part of it and to like trust everybody else to like do the parts that they're like good at and that they're like better than me at to go do the thing, and to be able to support them to do it's been very cool. I really like the role. I think it's hopefully a good fit for me.
Oh, you're so good at it. No, everyone,
Thank you.
everyone hear this. Rachel Lee's very good at producing. And so much of what you said is making a lot of sense now, actually.
Oh.
You being a teacher and being a dungeon master, I'm like, oh, okay, I can
It's
see
a lot
it
of
coming
management.
Yeah, I can see it coming together, right? Totally.
Yes.
Well, I'd love to ask you, what made you think about getting into games seriously?
It was mostly last summer.
Mm-hmm.
I had time to do a personal project, and I've always wanted to make a game. Specifically, I always wanted to make a point and click adventure game. So this is my current passion project that's a little bit on hold right now, but I started it last summer. And while I was making the game, I started learning. I'm using Unity as my engine, and I think I used to think I couldn't handle the like developer side of making a game. So basically my whole life that I knew about video games, which is my whole life, I wanted to make games, but I thought I needed to like rely on other people to do the developer stuff, like the programming and using the engine. So when I started to learn it myself, because I'm sick of waiting for other people. I'm sick of waiting for everyone else to be like on board and have time. I can do it. I can do anything. So I started learning and I realized, yes, like obviously the programming is a skill that I think I would love to give to somebody else. But using the engine, I was able to find different avenues of adding like add-ons and plugins so that I could make most of the game or work on most of the first scene of the game without having to do that much programming. And I was just like, oh, people can just make games. They could just make games. I'm like, I can just make a game. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, it just felt like a big secret. Like video game companies are holding this secret. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's not a secret. It's very doable and you can learn it. And I can learn it. I can learn anything. So I started that, which then led me to meeting people. I signed up for Susan O'Connor's newsletter. And then right before GDC this year, I participated in a Zoom call that she had done to talk about writing in the game industry. And at the end of that, everyone participating shared their LinkedIns and stuff. And so I did as well, because I was like, you know what? I want to get involved in this game thing. So let me like meet as many people as I can and learn as many things as I can. And so that's how I got involved with Small Studios, because I connected with one of the writers through that video call, and I did GDC and met more people and made more connections. So now I am plugged in with you guys, and I'm also plugged in with another, sort of helping another person who's doing like a solo project, and I'm just like helping out a little bit with some art and some project management stuff.
Wow, amazing. What a cool journey. I feel like gosh, like the power of meeting people at the right place at the right time, but also kind of opening yourself up to the opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So.
I did tell myself, like I gave myself a mantra for this year, or like starting last summer, was just like basically say yes to everything. I really enjoy teaching art, but I also really want to get involved in other projects and to make games and make stories. So I was just like, this year we're just gonna say yes to all the things, even if they're weird or scary. And with meeting people, like you said, so far everybody I've met, even just through like LinkedIn algorithm, connected us. So then I responded and was like, hey, you know, did you get referred to me, or did we get connected through the algorithm or whatever? Which always leads to a conversation. We ask about each other's projects, and most of the time the people that connect with me are more experienced than I am. And so I've taken the opportunity to ask them questions or ask them to give me feedback on my projects. So yeah, it's just this year is like learn, meet a bunch of people, network, but not the icky kind, like network, like know about people's projects and get excited about what they're excited about, and like be known as a person who is excited about their project and maybe has skills, you know?
I think that's absolutely the right way to do it. You know, like game devs are excited about making games, you know, and that's the easiest thing in the world to bond over. You're making a game, I'm making a game, we like games. That's cool. We like that. Yeah, totally. And look at you, you're heading up a team of like coming up to 30 people now in Smaller.
Pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Well, how have you been finding the process of producing then? Because I guess it's a new thing for you.
Yes. I do find that I've done similar tasks in other realms. Like I told you about like running my friends' weddings and things like that. I've done a couple of those. And like other projecks.
Much higher stakes than running a
well, the wedding is high stakes. The wedding is high stakes. And also a little bit interesting because you got to be touchy with like, you know, you don't want anybody getting upset. Nobody get upset at a wedding. Keep everybody happy, keep it moving. How am I finding the project? I'm very excited. Like the team is really good. I was kind of blown away. I thought I would have more to do in regards to what Andrea said, like wrangling the kittens or whatever. What did she say?
Wrangling the kittens,
something
the
like that. You know, getting it moving, keeping it moving, getting people to do their tasks or whatever. But everybody's like so on top of it. The leads and producers have been so on top of it. And so what I've been doing most of the time is just trying to keep tabs on things, make sure nobody's kind of stuck. Make sure, you know, if they need meetings or something set up, I can set them up for them. Now that we're getting into, we're doing sprints, right? We just finished sprint 1, which is very exciting. We're entering sprint 2. So now I'm learning and thinking about and observing like, okay, as we're moving from different sprints, like how to manage if something doesn't get done, how to work with the leads to make sure it gets done. Haven't done that yet. So that's the next thing that I'll learn how to do effectively.
A little bit of negotiation, I think, from both parties, right? Because like I think ultimately as a producer you do kind of have to be like, Yeah, I didn't know what to say, guys. We had a deadline, so
Right.
let's
Gotta get it done.
yeah, we gotta get it done.
Yeah.
What we're gonna do?
But
But
that being
yeah.
said, like really they've been on top of it and it's
Oh,
been
for sure.
really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have to say I need to shower praise on quite a few people. I mean, I wouldn't like do everybody, I'll just do it in groups, but the
Mm-hmm.
artists, which a lot of them are your contacts as well, have
Mm-hmm.
been
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I'm really excited for people to see the updates to the game.
Yes.
Could you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the people you've brought in from our team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll talk about Cleo first because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have like a one-on-one or like a first person connect with that.
Mm-hmm.
But with Cleo, yeah, we met or just through Discord. I forget now I forget who's referring who because I had different people referring different
Yeah,
people.
sure.
But once I looked at their portfolio, I was like, oh, yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Come join us. Yes. And the work that they've been making has been like really, really good. We're just starting,
Yeah.
or the art people have been starting to thumbnail and prepare like sketches of the
Mm-hmm.
CGs that are going to be implemented. So we're going to add some more art to the game.
Yeah.
And those have been really good.
Yeah.
And so Vinny and Perry were both former students of mine, if I may.
Cute.
But honestly, like I've always said when they were my students, I'm like, you guys are better than me. Okay. So really all I'm doing is I'm just like giving advice and
Mm-hmm.
feedback and you just keep working and working. Like, cause
Yeah.
yeah, they're constantly making work. Truly both of them like
Mm-hmm.
making work.
Yeah.
But Vinny is our lead for, or the art producer.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they've been doing amazing,
A wizard, a
just
magician.
blowing out of the water. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Getting stuff done, communicating really, really well.
Extremely
That's been
well.
really helpful. And adapting to how, like, the sort of production pipeline that Oryx had previously, and making adjustments that make a lot of sense for the like flow of work that the art team needs now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's been really,
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
to
That's been amazing.
observe. And then of
Yeah.
course Den. I forget, was Den already on this project, right? The original.
Yeah, Den
Yeah.
is already, and Den is another magician because not only are they great at art, they're a programmer as well. And I believe they did a lot of like really cool stuff in the original game. But they're like, I think the other day they were like, oh yeah, I do stuff in Godot as well. I was like, oh, okay,
Doing
fancy
all the
pants.
things.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, Den is amazing. Den is also
Yeah.
yeah, I have to say the way the art team have just been able to be dropped into the larger team because they came later than everybody else because we
Yeah.
were also I have to give a shout out to Robin, who is our original art lead
Yes.
for the game and did the original character sketches.
Yeah.
But
Got us to
also-
where we are.
got us to where we are. But also,
Yeah.
I really want to say that I super respect because they weren't able to take part in the project and they were very upfront about it, and I really love and respect that. And I think a lot of people need to state their boundaries with projects like that more often as well because
Yeah.
there's no point in like burning yourself out. And ultimately, this is a volunteer game project, so the stakes are very low.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so big shout out. But yeah, Vinny has been blowing it out of the water, and not just like in their highly skilled art wise, of course, that goes without saying, and you know, a lot of you will see that as well when the game comes out. But I have to say their grasp of managing the team and communicating the team and the logistics of it all. My gosh, I was so blown away.
Hmm.
But yeah, huge props to the art team. What else have we done in Sprint One? We're working on new writing bits and pieces as well, and we've had a couple of newbies join us because not everyone has been able to join from the original project because they're working on something else that's small known. But yeah, the newbies who have joined us have done an incredible job on a brand new storyline. I wouldn't go too much into it, but yeah, how have you been finding working with writers? Because I know storytelling is something that you're interested in as well. So is that kind of new for you?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
again, the leads are so on top of it. I'm not interacting that much because I'm watching it all happen.
Yeah.
They're checking the boxes and moving the tasks and working amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So Tiago, our lead for narrative, right? Is Tiago's the lead?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
So good, getting it done. Yeah, I'll check into the Discord channel as the narrative's talking and discussing, and it really feels like the team works really well together. They've established really effective systems of how they're pairing up like writers with what they're writing for, and writers paired up together.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool because I am not familiar with like how a writing team would work together. Yeah, it's just been cool to observe what they're all doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like we've really iterated upon what we did in the original project because what we had was a buddy system for like the characters. So let's say for example, if someone was out, at least we knew someone else was there, and it also enabled people to bounce ideas off each other because I don't. Nobody really likes to, like write alone, like in a game project. I
Yeah.
don't
And to
think.
not know like
Yeah.
yeah, just to get that feedback of like, yeah, this is really working, or like no, or maybe you get stuck and you're just kind of like, take this line for me for a little while. I'm just guessing. I honestly don't know if that's how they work, but that's how I would work. If I was writing something like, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody else take it and then they can take it and then you get it back. And you're like, ooh, that's much better than what I could have done or would have done or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm even seeing that happen in the comments on the Notion tasks that we have. So, for everybody watching, we're using Notion quite extensively for project management.
Yeah.
And the way that we've done it is that we have our um, actual entire script kind of separated out into scenes, and then we allocate those scenes to writers, and then there's like a whole Kanban board going on where you move like scenes from like ready for editing, ready for review. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But that's all to say that like we're seeing a lot of like comments come through in the Notion tasks. I'm definitely snooping in there. Yeah, people know I'm snooping in there, but it's fine. But I'm snooping in there, and there's some really great like feedback and back and forth going on in there. Everyone is so positive as well. Everyone's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the sort of culture that Smell Studios has established is very just like, fire. Yeah, love it. Woo. But also like getting stuff done and being like,
Yeah.
this isn't working. Let's make adjustments, and still balancing it with like, you're killing it. Like,
Yeah.
the positive stuff. Because
Yeah.
I think if it was all only love it, love it, love it, then
Yeah.
you're not really going to get a good product in the end.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be not, fluid, not connected, not following true to like the base vision. But if everyone's got, a pulse on the vision and they're able to receive the feedback when it comes, then you can keep like a really positive attitude as everything's making progress.
Yeah, totally. I think for the most part, like everyone is very open to feedback. I think even some people are like, "Please tell me, is this bad?" Yeah. Which is which is nice to see, and it never is. It never is bad. People are like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, yeah, but it's so right though. I think I feel like we've got a good balance of like team get shit done, and then also yay, we're gonna celebrate the wins as well. I think one of the reasons why when we were discussing planning out the project and doing it in 2 week sprints is that it feels like a nice cadence to be able to say like, hey, we're at the end of sprint 1, let's celebrate all the things we've done in sprint 1. And it was really extensive, that list actually as well, when I sent that out on Discord.
Yeah, especially because I mean, another shout out, like the UX UI team, so
Oh my
Steph, and
goodness.
then working on the tasks that could have been later, but it's kind of like, let's get it done, right? And because she had time, and the skills and the ability to just get it done independently, that was super awesome to like be able to check those boxes much before they were due. So that was really cool to see. Do you want to talk about any of like the accessibility stuff that has been implemented, or do you want to save that for another talk?
Well, I'll touch on it because I do think it's worth shouting out. Alice, who's
Hmm.
our resident accessibility champion. I don't know if that's her actual title, but it's just what I think of her of as well. She's always championing accessibility, and quite rightly so, because obviously for the original project, it just wasn't like we did talk about it, but there wasn't like as much of an emphasis on it as I would have liked because we were making it for a 30-day game jam at the end of the day. So
Yeah, it's
we're
hard.
like so hard, so short on time. And this time where we have a 3 month timeline, it makes sense to include that. So Alice very kindly went through the game and then basically came up with a bunch of recommendations, and has been collaborating really well with everybody else to kind of investigate how we can do those like features and inject those features into the game, which
Hmm.
is amazing. I love to kind of get her on for a future chat actually, and we can dive into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just great. She's just great. I just wanted to sit in silence and just contemplate Alice being great. Um, so yeah, I mean, what else have we done? I think there's a couple of things like production slash logistics wise, which we've been trying out, and this is
Hmm.
like the very unsexy stuff that I feel like nobody ever talks about, but I'm always interested in.
Let's
Um,
talk about the unsexy
let's
stuff.
talk about the unsexy stuff, guys. Come on, let's get real. So, meetings wise, we keep it pretty simple. Weekly for team weekly meetings. We keep it to a hot half an hour session.
Hmm.
Nothing more than that. I think what's been helping a lot is, I guess, firstly getting people to put in their updates ahead of time.
That was really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I've been kind of trying out, just kind of on a hunch, was to put a timer on at the beginning of meetings for like 5 minutes and then getting everybody to quietly look over the agenda, put in their updates, and just kind of have a quiet moment to themselves before the meeting starts. And it was really interesting. I was like, oh, I bet people hate this, but I'm just gonna try it anyway. But when I asked the chat yesterday, I was like, how is everyone feeling about the 5 minutes just in trepidation? People are like, I love it. But yeah, that's really interesting. So, hot tip for anybody watching and starting their own kind of game dev project, like try it
Yeah.
out. It's I feel like that's been making the meetings go a little bit more efficiently, actually, just that quiet
Yeah.
time.
I just thinking about that as you're talking,
Yeah.
wonder if part of the reason why the team is really liking the 5 minutes is because this is a volunteer studio.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are coming from work or like they're taking a pause in work, or it's like at the end
Yeah.
of the day, or it's right before they're going to go to work and they just woke up, like depending on where they are.
Yeah.
And so they're probably like, oh, thank goodness. Let's reset my brain. Okay. Now we're in Oryx world or the
Yeah.
Ouroboros Express world. What are we talking about? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's probably why it is very appreciated currently. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with this team.
It's helpful for me as well because I think quite a lot of the time, like I might be coming off another meeting or something like that as
Hmm.
well. So yeah, even having that time to be like, okay, yes, resetting, being really present in a meeting as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, it's a really nice tangible tip for anybody to take away with them. Put that 5 minutes in at the beginning of a meeting. The other thing that I wanted to shout out was our ready for approvals channel. So
Hmm.
again, unsexy but very good for everyone who, if you're thinking about starting a project with 20 plus people like we have because we're maniacs. So we do all of our communications through Discord. All of our meetings happen in Discord as well, but we implemented this new thing called a ready for approvals channel. So every time anybody in the team has something that they need approved, they just throw in there, and it's super useful to just have this like feed of like stuff coming through that you need to approve. A lot of the time it's me as well. But the other added benefit I realized is that people can like just have a snoop in there and see like, oh, what's Art been up to?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a summary of what
Mhm.
the channels for each team have
Yeah.
been working on, and then finally they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we come to a conclusion, we're ready to implement it, stick it in, they're ready
Yeah.
for approval, and then you
Hmm.
take a peek. approve, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's probably helpful. I hope it's helpful for you as the creative director and for the producers to like check that. And then it's helpful for me because then as long as that channel's active,
Yeah.
at least I know things aren't completely out of control. Like, okay, people are approving stuff. Things are happening. Okay, good. We're
there's
moving.
momentum. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I do think it's funny when like things are a bit too quiet and you're like suspicious. You're like things are
Yeah.
yeah. What's going on?
Yeah. I think sometimes looking at the Notion and, we have, not started, we have in progress for our board as we're moving tasks along. And so, something, if it's a very complicated task, it could have multiple parts, right? And so it might be in progress for quite a while. So if I'm only looking and seeing this, I'm like, this task has been here for a while. But I can see in the like ready for approval Discord channel that like, oh, they've been like checking these boxes, they've been getting these pieces done, and this is going to move into, complete really soon because I'm able to monitor it on the Discord. So that's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I kind of want to bring it back around to you just because, like, I feel like this is the most we've actually talked. I mean, we talk all the time, but we're very, like, on task.
Yeah.
Straight to business all of the time. But
That's
it was
true.
really funny because like when put the ask out there if anybody wanted to be producer and you put your hand up and we had a chat and I was straight up like, I just kind of want to like get stuff done and I didn't really like to faff about too much. You're like, oh sweet, no, neither do I. And you're like, oh great. So so all of our chats are like 15 minutes long because we're just like getting stuff done.
Yeah. Like yes or no questions, like this or this. Option 2. Done.
Yeah, okay, take care, bye. But it's all like it's all like in we all get along really well, but it's just kind of like our working style. But I don't know, I think whether like we lucked out because we both work like that. But have you had like a situation where you work with someone quite closely and their working style is so completely different to yours?
Many times. Many times.
Yes.
Yeah, many times, but it isn't always bad, it's not always bad to work with people that don't have the same working style, but I think, I am more likely to have frustrations if I do tend to do that switch where I'm like, okay, we're like business, let's talk business, no silliness, no, like whatever. So are you looking for a specific story or just a general general yes?
Like, yeah, it could be just like a yes, but I mean, I totally agree. It's not bad. I think it's actually very healthy to be working with people of different working styles because you can also get too set in your ways, right? And like, I think you can learn from other people as well. I feel like I've certainly learned quite a lot from working with people in Switzerland because we're also like diverse and we're from all over the world and from different backgrounds. But I mean, I feel like we've got like kind of like a good groove going on. But I totally did not know, for example, that you were a dungeon master. Could you talk a little bit about that actually?
I haven't been doing it for a super long time, 2 years, but not like super consistent. I've had 2 campaigns that I've written and ran for friends and family. And I've done a couple of one-shots for a couple different like groups, some friends, some like high school girls, which was pretty fun.
Cool.
But I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for a very long time because my cousins that were quite close with growing up, and so close. But when we were young, we would visit them once a year at their house, and we would try to play at least one session of tabletop role-playing game.
So
but at the time, it was very sit down, here's your sheet, let's play. Not really learning how to play.
Right.
So I had fun, but I was very confused and very frustrated. Yeah. So it wasn't until a couple years ago, after playing a couple games as an adult, as a player, and only sort of understanding how things work, I was like, forget it. I'm gonna learn this. This is my new thing. I'm gonna understand this game, and I'm going to like be able to run a game. Because it's the other thing is I wanted to play, but unless you're willing to be the game master, you won't necessarily be able to play a game because everyone's up for playing, but not everybody's up for running the game.
Right.
So I decided to learn 5e for Dungeons and Dragons. I played Pathfinder before, so I decided I would learn 5e. And I bought the Dungeon Master Guide and the Player's Handbook, and I read both of them like they were textbooks. And I took
studied them.
I studied it because I was like, I'm determined.
Yeah.
I'm determined. And so I learned them. I'm not like, it's not like I know the books like the back of my hand, but I finally the mechanics clicked. Finally, I was able to put how things work in my own words, because I think I was learning from people that thought and communicated really differently than me. So it wasn't necessarily that they were bad at teaching, but maybe difficult to communicate in a way that I could like make sense of.
Yeah. Sure.
So, and I am more of a self-learner kind of, like I need that time to kind of dig in, sit with it, try to like understand
absorb
it, put it in different words, like that kind of thing. So that time was very good for me to learn some new things and to challenge my brain. And then I found a couple of friends were excited to play. So I was like, I'll be your dungeon master. And we ended up playing for, I think, a year, but maybe how many sessions in a year? Maybe like eight or nine, I think.
Yeah.
And then my most recent game that I finished was I think about the same, maybe 6 sessions. I think it was a little bit longer than that though, but my games are usually like 3 hours ish, so it's a lot of play, but
that is a lot of play.
It's fun.
Wow, that's incredible. I've been thinking a lot about becoming a dungeon master as well, because I'm coming up against the same thing as you, which is like, oh, I want to play, but like it's like so many players, not enough dungeon masters, so I'm like, why don't I just do it? And so I actually had the same brain. I actually bought the handbook as well, and the player's handbook, but I feel like I learned quite a lot just by watching actual plays as well. So we've established I'm a big Dimension 20 fan.
Me as well.
You're a big Dimension 20 fan, and so it's really useful to watch other people play and see. But I mean, they're totally setting some kind of standard. I don't know, but I have so much fun watching it. Yeah,
you can still learn so much.
Yeah.
I feel like when I started to learn the game, I was mostly watching Critical Role, and so when you're learning something new, obviously you're going to start emulating people that you watch doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
So when I first started playing, I don't know that I was trying to emulate Matt Mercer, but that was sort of my example. And then of course, like the games that I played with my cousins and my sisters. But when I started watching Dimension 20, I realized that something that was missing in how I wanted to run my games was to have more, how do I describe this? Brennan Lee Mulligan will, in his descriptions of things, is for the story, not necessarily the immersion, I feel like.
Oh,
so he'll do things,
yeah,
like sometimes he will actually speak to what the player is or rather the character is experiencing, which I always thought was a no-no. I was like, you can't tell your player what they're feeling or doing or anything.
Right.
But then I was observing him. I'm like, oh, it's really interesting the way that he will, like he'll know the player's characters. And so he'll know their fears, likes and dislikes, their backstory and everything. So if he's creating a scene, he will sort of prop or support the player to like experience this scene. By describe, so like for example, like I don't know, maybe a character is really afraid of the dark or something, so when he's describing like the torches at the end of the hallway are extinguished.
Yeah.
You know, and he'll say like, as you walk down the hallway, your heart starts racing and your throat like feels like it's closing in as, you know, your heartbeat starts increasing. And I was like, that's very cool to give the player something to respond to in that way. So even though technically he's telling the player what their character's feeling, it's in a way that then lets them do something really exciting with it. You know, then they take it, you know? I was like, that's really cool. And so I'm trying to like find ways of bringing that into my game more as well to, to make the game more than just, you know, it's a tunnel. There are torches.
Figure it out.
It is dark.
Yeah.
You know, I want to give my players that experience. And I had a chance a couple times to create some scenes where my players like are like, oh no, and I'm just like, yes, I've done it. Because I feel like
that's amazing.
I love that TTRPGs, like, I don't remember who called them this, but it like really made sense when I heard it described as collaborative storytelling instead of like a video game but with paper, pencil, and dice. Because I don't run my games like a video game. I prefer to run them like they're collaborative storytelling with the structure of the rules and the dice that are there.
Yeah, totally. Wow, that's so fun. I'd love to be in one of your games one day.
Maybe you can.
Oh my gosh, we should sort that out. That'd be great.
That would be cool. We'd talk about it.
Oh yeah, we will.
Okay,
All right,
we can talk about it.
Yeah, smaller campaign incoming.
That would be great.
That would be amazing. Because I actually my first like actual experience, I was like, oh, let's do something like really nice and wholesome. So I did a one shot run by my friend Logan to for charity. So we actually raised money for charity.
Cool.
So we had like people watching and people were like donating as they were watching. We ended up raising something like $400 something for girls who code, which is really cool. Yeah, so I don't know, we could keep up that tradition this year actually.
Maybe.
Really cool. Yeah.
Although I'm mildly intimidated by being recorded while running my game, but that could be exciting. That could be cool. Yeah.
We could do it for a cool charity.
I would be up to discussing.
Totally. I mean, I feel like it's so nice to explore different parts of your personality when you're playing a game as well. I mean, I think it's like, you know, I played this Tabaxi bard who was just kind of a grifter, you know, she wants to do things like the easy way, and for me I feel like I'm always so like finicky and like fussy about things, and I'm always about the structure, and like to be able to play someone who's so like easy breezy, you know, like that's really fun. So I think that's another really cool thing about role playing
that is
games
fun
as well. Yeah, it's so fun. What's the character that you play or you would like to play?
I don't remember my early characters from when I was young. And there's only one campaign. Oh, actually there were two. So there was a short like 3-session game that one of my sisters ran for me. I have a lot of sisters. So
how many sisters have you got?
I have 4 sisters. So
oh my gosh, you're like Hayden plus 2.
We've got enough people to play games.
Yeah, wow.
All the time.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is cool. But yeah, I was playing a game with my sisters. One of them was running the game, and it was like we were all robots, like automaton kind of guys.
Cool.
And mine had like a screw loose or like a fuse loose. And so I had every time my turn happened, I rolled, I think it was a D20.
Yeah.
And so I forget what the mechanic was, but if I accidentally hit a certain number or range of numbers, I forget, then I would go berserk and start attacking the other my other robot buddies, which was very fun.
Yeah.
Which I realize now is similar to in Critical Role. Spoilers, but Sam Riegel's character in
Oh,
campaign 3
yes,
is a
yes.
robot guy who, there's a mechanic that makes him go berserk at a
Yeah.
certain point in time. But my game was much before that. But obviously, it's not like a super, you know, original idea. But anyway, so it was quite fun. So similar to that, in that I was kind of like, also, I think I
Yeah.
was playing a very dumb sort of character. So that was quite fun when the switch would flip and I could be like, "Rah, attack, attack, attack." Which was kind of fun. I as a player, I do tend toward leaning towards the well, in that game, I wanted to be a bit of a troll, so that was fun.
That's fun.
But I think what I enjoy more was I played a pirate themed one of my other sisters ran, and that was quite fun. I was playing a bard, but I wanted to be functioning as sort of like the healer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the backstory of the character was that she was used to be a tailor. So on a pirate ship, she's the surgeon. And so it was a bit of a stretch of how to use the mechanics, but
Yeah.
so I was able to use like healing spells with the bard, but I'd be like
Fun.
sewing up stuff too, which was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And she was like a fawn, like she had like a fawn dad. She was estranged from
Oh.
because he's a fawn or like a satyr or whatever.
Satyr,
In the
yeah.
D&D world, the like satyrs, are generally not like very nice. They're kind of puckish and
Yeah. They don't
mischievous.
stick around, do they?
Yeah. So that was a fun little thing. But yeah, so that character was fun. She was like young, so I got to play a little bit naive. And I think if I played that character again, I would try to intentionally have like opportunities of growth. When I played that character, I didn't really know about the potential to have like story arcs and things, like working with your DM and having your character change and grow throughout the campaign. So I feel like that might be cool to bring that character back to a game that's like that would have that like growth. That might be neat. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'd be
someday.
really cool.
Yeah.
Well, look at us bringing it back around to narrative design and games because yeah, I think that's like the really cool thing about inhabiting a character, whether it's a TTRPG or like just like a straight up video game to be able to experience that growth with the character as well. Hopefully we've done that in Ouroboros Express.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. You
That's
guys will
a
just
goal.
have to play it and see. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm so yeah. I mean, to also bring it back to growth as well, like to see where the original team were at when I was first working with them on the game, and then where they're at now. Wow, I mean the stuff that everyone's been working on and how they're bringing their A game as well. It's very very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've just got to thank you. Like, you are just such a good producer, and like the teaching is coming out, the management's coming out. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna keep you on for too much longer, even though I feel like I
All
could
right.
speak to you for a good long while, and maybe even start up a D&D campaign while we're in the same session.
That'd be cool.
That would be very cool. We're gonna have to talk about that a bit more. But yeah, I mean, like one last question for me, which is, what are you looking forward to for the rest of production?
I think what am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
I think for self-growth, I'm looking forward to at the end of this project to be able to feel like knowing how I can contribute effectively, feeling secure in like the process of how a project is from the beginning to the end.
Totally, yeah.
And like, making decisions about like, okay, you know what, we gotta push this to,
we gotta
next
discard
patch.
this.
You can't make it,
Yeah.
being able to make those calls. So I'm excited to have that like experience and like self-assuredness, like we did it and this is what I did and this is what I could have done better and this is what we accomplished. But just overall, I think every sprint or every end of sprint I'm looking forward to, because it, like you said, like it's exciting to like celebrate and to be able to break it up like that. Like, okay, we did it. We did sprint one.
We did
Woohoo! We're in
it.
sprint
Yeah.
two, and then when we get to sprint two, to be able to be like, all right, like we accomplished, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And we've already like started or finished a couple things that were goals in sprint two. I don't know if you had a chance to look. There are a couple things I'm like, oh, I think we've already like started this, or this is
Smashed
might
it.
even be almost done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like the celebrations at the end of each sprint, I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I think for me, it would be seeing that, I guess, like the first build where we'll start to see all of the new stuff come together, like,
Yeah, that's true.
like the new illustrations. And oh, and yes, before we go, I simply must give a shout out to our voiceover producer
Yes,
Lindsay,
of course.
and our voiceover director Alan as well. So Lindsay has been hard at work working with our marketing team as well to put out audition calls, and we got something like 75, over 75 auditions come in, which is
Yeah,
wow. I mean, amazing. I
so
actually
cool.
got to listen to some actually yesterday. So I'm so excited for everyone to like hear the final cast, but I'm torn. There were so many really good ones where I was like, oh my God, how am I supposed to decide? I'm just a little guy. But yeah, yeah, Lizzie and Alan, you're doing great. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. But
Lindsay's
yeah,
another producer that like I haven't needed to have too many interactions with because she's just
oh,
doing all the things.
she's smashing
She's
those
got her
deadlines.
system, she's
Yeah.
implementing them, she's communicating so well, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching it all happen, and I'm just like, excellent. I'm here if you need it, but I don't think I'm
Great.
needed. I'm just gonna keep watching.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
so good. Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I'm just learning a lot, observing,
Yeah. That
everybody
has
in
been
the
really
team.
cool. Like learning
Yeah,
about the voiceover stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So I'm excited for people to experience like characters with voices. That's really cool. Okay, well let's wrap it up here, sadly. But Lindsay, where can people find you? Is there anything you want to promote as well while we're here? Where do you want to direct people to? It's your
Mm-hmm.
time to shine.
Thank you. I am Rachel, not Lindsay, but don't worry about it. We were just saying
Oh
Lindsay.
yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. God. Yeah. It's 6:35 and I haven't had dinner yet.
It
So yeah.
is
Yeah.
totally fine. It is totally fine.
Yeah.
I am not super active anywhere, unfortunately. But you can find me. I'm trying to keep my links up to date. So you can find me at befudly.card.co. So it's
Ooh.
BEFUDDLY dot CARRD dot CO. But hopefully in the future I will have a real website and actually like have some things, what I've worked on and all of that jazz. But you can look at my Instagram. It's also befuddly. I chose that because I thought the word befuddled was funny.
Mhm.
To be confused as if in a drunken stupor is my understanding of the definition. So I added a lee at the end. But anyway, you can find my Instagram that way, but it's
Mhm.
mostly very old art and some sewing projects. So if that's fun for you, you can look there.
That sounds like a lot of fun for me.
Yeah,
So
have a look.
yeah, head on over, guys, and yeah, looking forward to seeing all your other projects come to fruition as well,
Hmm.
because we know there are quite a few in the pipeline. So
Hmm.
yeah, well, for now, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for watching and joining us on our journey on the Ouroboros Express. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.